Dun, to have a holly jolly Christmas. And in case you didn't hear, Nick.
Oh my golly, this snow needs to go die in a bucket now!
In a bucket? Why a bucket? You know what? We might get demonetized because we were singing Holly Jolly Christmas.
No, we're singing Holly Jolly Christmas because it's snowing.
In April.
Not just
almost May.
Not just April. You know what's next?
I
can't talk. I'm so overwhelmed because of my anger with the snow. You know what next week is? Next week is May 1st. It should not be snowing the week before May 1st.
And they were saying we can get a possible 9 inches.
Well, we're clearly not going to get 9 inches, but the fact that it's just snowing outside right now is
disgusting.
Disgusting.
I'm sick of it.
I don't want to live in this state anymore.
Oh, don't say that about Wisconsin.
Oh, you think the same thing I do. Don't tell me if you didn't get the opportunity to move out west to California, you wouldn't take it in a heartbeat.
If I could teleport, I'd move out west. So I could just teleport and not have to travel.
Oh, not have to travel.
Yep.
Ah, well, that makes sense, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
But even so, I'm sick of the snow. I'm tired of the snow. I want the snow to end.
Yeah, I agree.
What do we do about it?
I'd say we go outside. Where they have that one Frosty movie?
Frosty movie?
Snow go away. The snow, the spray, where you could just spray the snow away.
Spray the snow away?
Yeah, you've never seen that movie? It's
All
Frosty the
right.
Snowman 3.
Well, Brett's lost his mind, everybody. We're only 2 minutes into the show.
I know what I'm talking about.
Anyhow, enough of us complaining about the snow. Welcome to another week of the Shotcast.
We're so glad you guys are back.
I'm Nick.
I'm Brett.
And we're here to, as we always do, talk about the news while drinking shots. Although this week we're drinking vodka, right, Brett?
Vodka, yes.
Getting ready to prepare for Avengers Endgame, which we're going to see after recording here.
Yep, we're going to see that. We got about an hour and 15 minutes before we have to be sitting our asses in the theater.
So we can't even, talk about spoilers at this point because we haven't seen it yet, and it's been really hard to avoid spoilers in the internet and everything. Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
There's been a couple of times where I thought I was going to hit a spoiler, but I made sure to close out the app before I was, read on.
Which it still just confuses me why people want to ruin things for other people.
Because people like to be assholes, Nick.
They truly do.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm excited because this is the culmination of how many years? 11 years? 12 years?
It started in 2008.
2008.
So 11.
11 years of movies. I remember seeing the first Iron Man. I think I was in junior high when it came out, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a very big moment in Marvel cinematic history.
Oh, yeah. I'm excited. I've been waiting for this for a year now.
Although I can't stand the people who are saying, it wasn't as good as Infinity War. Well, clearly you're not a true Marvel fan then because that's impossible. Yep. There's no way that this movie can be worse than any of the other movies that have already existed. There's just no way.
Our next podcast after this one, it'll be about a week or so after the movies came out, so we'll talk spoilers.
It'll also be
and we'll give a good review.
It'll also be our monthly drunk cast, so get
May the 4th be with you.
Get a bit extra liquor in us, and I'm sure we'll share our thoughts on this, won't we, Brett?
Yep, we're gonna make it May the 4th be with you.
Yes. Next Saturday, when we record, it will be Saturday, May 4th, which is, if you all know, Star Wars Day. So May the 4th be with you. So in this special edition of the Drunk Cast, we're going to be talking about probably some Star Wars stuff. And, honestly, Brett and I will probably get drunk enough where we'll go into a spiral conversation about the universe, our existence, and the fabric of reality.
Yeah, we are big Marvel fans, and we're big Star Wars fans.
Yes.
Because we're nerds.
So if you don't like Star Wars, the next week episode probably isn't for you. Not saying the whole episode's going to be on Star Wars, but there'll be plenty of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Not to mention, Brett and I haven't had a really solid drunk cast in a while, so I'm hopeful that maybe throwing some, pop culture topics and some other fun that may not necessarily strictly be about the news make it a bit better. What do you say, Brett?
Agreed.
So, well, shall we do our first toast?
Toast. Shots to the Shotcast.
Not a good idea.
Nope.
Not a good idea whatsoever. And I got to drive us there.
Yeah, we're really kind of irresponsible.
What is responsibility these days, anyhow?
We're at the end game.
Oh, I see what you did there. Oh, dearie me.
You're so stupid.
I really don't get our friendship sometimes.
Yeah, whatever.
Like,
There's
you know
nothing
what,
to get.
Like, you know what Brett and I have done literally this entire day before we started recording? Why don't you share it with everybody, Brett?
We watched YouTube videos and movies waiting for Endgame. And
did,
then we're like, oh, we have to do the podcast.
And did absolutely freaking nothing.
And it's awesome.
And every time we do this together, I think it's usually a highlight of our friendship because we just enjoy doing absolutely nothing sometimes. Because I'm so busy with everything I got going on. And then Brett's
I'm busy as hell, too.
Brett's just Brett.
Shut up, jackass.
Hey, it's a compliment.
What? How's that a compliment? You're a lazy piece of shit.
I didn't say that. I said Brett's just Brett.
Yeah, that's what you said.
Fine. Take it as you will.
I know what you meant.
Take it as you will. But shall we jump into some of this week's news?
I think we shall jump.
Well, to be honest, first one isn't really that positive. Nope, no, it is not.
I woke up and saw this on Twitter.
Actually, how did I find out about this? Well, actually, I think I woke up Easter morning and the news was turned on the news and read about it, saw it on the news. This is not good. So on Easter Sunday, there was a series of suicide bombers that killed about 250 people and injured more than 500 at churches and hotels across the country of Sri Lanka. For those of you who are unfamiliar where Sri Lanka is, it is an island country just off the southwestern coast of India. About a 22 million person population. Not the smallest country by any ways or means.
No.
But yeah, so this was definitely coordinated. Like, looking at the series of bombings that happened, it was all coordinated. And it was suicide bombers from, they weren't too sure from the early news reports about
multiple locations, right?
Yes, multiple locations. Lot of fatalities. And most of the victims were Sri Lankans. Now, I did read that 38 of these deaths were foreigners, among them including British, Indian, and U.S. citizens. So, apparently the country hasn't had to deal with a lot of things like this for quite some time.
How often is it that you hear Sri Lanka in the freaking news?
Never.
Never?
They dealt with actually a pretty bad civil war for a number of years, and actually, I think I was able to uncover here that these attacks were the deadliest since the end of their 26-year civil war in 2009. So it's been 10 years since they've actually had any mass amount of violence like this occur in the country, which is pretty substantial.
I saw a meme that said we have dealt with discovering the first black hole, the Notre Dame burning, and Sri Lanka bombings all in 1 week.
Isn't it?
It's like we're hopping.
But I really attribute this to the internet and social media, because think about it. If we didn't have such a quick access to information, we probably really wouldn't know a lot of this was going on.
I mean, do you think this much news happened back in like the 70s and 80s, but people just didn't hear about it?
I think stuff like this happened all the time,
Yeah.
but we just didn't have
not all the
access
news
to it like we did.
We also have more people.
Well,
for
that
more
too.
activities.
That too, but keep in mind, like, the news networks back then, because you only had a few of them, and, you either had radio, television, or newspaper, and they really sifted through what you could see. So there actually was more control on the news back then as opposed to now, contrary to what most people think. Because think about what the internet, anybody can post information. So
yeah,
a lot of this stuff we find out. Actually, the news gets a majority of, if something happens, they go to social media first to learn about it, actually, because it travels so much quicker than it does over any other medium. Wow, it's really coming down out there, Brett.
Let me see. Oh my God, it looks like a blizzard out there. A blizzard in spring.
Guess you're spending the night again.
God damn it.
Anyhow, I guess back to the story, right? So, evidence is mounting that the perpetrators of the Sri Lankan attacks were local jihadists linked to the Islamic State. I really don't have any comments as to why it would be members of the Islamic State. I know it was targeted at Christians.
Yep.
It was targeted
Easter Sunday.
It was targeted at the country's Christian minority, which I found out only makes up 7% of their 22 million person population. So it was strategic, it was planned, and they all happened. The bombings actually began at local luxury hotels before moving on to local churches across the country. It's just a shame that we've had to see such really poor rise in this type of violence over the past 15, 20 years. And if you really think about it, would you also feel like ever since September 11th, this is just happening more and more and more?
Yeah, it seems like the freaking thing to do.
Maybe just that's our point of reference in time because that's something we dealt with when we both were younger. But to me, that just seemed like the definitive moment on when this surge in terrorism and religious, what do you call it? I don't want to say religious idealists because that's not what these people are. They're
just terrorism.
Well, no, because this is all these terrorist groups are all being driven by radical religion. Mm-hmm. That's what's driving all this. It isn't,
I'm sure plenty of these
radicalized individuals use religion as their fallback for what they're doing.
I'm pretty sure these attacks and stuff happened way before 9/11 and stuff. So
I'm sure, but I just feel like
that's the starting
I feel
point
like in our lives, the definitive moment of that was September 11th, because I just feel like ever since that happened, it's been one thing after the other, after the other, after the other. We luckily, we really haven't had to deal with much more in the United States since then, but all around the world, especially Europe. They've been dealing with a lot of terrorism.
The reason we bring up 9/11 is because it happened in our home country.
Well, right, and that's what I'm saying. Is that just our frame of reference, or I don't know. That's the question I pose. I'm guessing.
Yeah. What we're gonna do about it?
Well, that's to do anything about it.
I don't know. Yeah, I honestly don't know what to really do about it. Just kind of just feel like we have to wait it out.
Wait it out?
Yep, until it all stops, which it never will. So.
Well, as long as you have radical people who are using religion as a fallback to commit crimes of hate and murder and suffering, then I guess,
Yeah. I mean, it's very sad. I don't
if,
really know what to say about it.
If you think about it, though, I haven't really heard about any, terrorism coming from the Islamic State in quite some time.
No,
it's actually been a while.
I thought when Notre Dame burned down, we were going to hear about.
I was almost for certain too that was related to terrorism, but it wasn't. Yeah. But no, it's actually been quite some time since ISIS or the Islamic State has carried out any type of attack. Really, relatively. I mean, I'm sure they have, but it hasn't been big enough to make global news headlines like this has.
Yeah.
What was the one that sticks out in my mind for some reason is remember that person driving that van and all those people? But that was like a while ago.
In New York?
No. Well, we had that happen here, but I feel like it was in a European country.
Oh, you're talking in...
Was that in Germany or something?
I have no idea.
I think it was.
The one that sticks out to me is the Charlie, the
Charlie Hebdo thing?
Yeah, Hebdo.
Oh, and Paris. That was a while ago, too.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just saying, I guess, personally, it feels like a really long time since we've had to hear about something like this in the news. But anyhow... not good what happened in Sri Lanka. And like I said, they had a very, very long, brutal 26-year civil war that ended in 2009. And that war alone is thought to have killed between 70,000 to 80,000 people, which actually was fun reading it. Not fun for the sense of like it's horrible what happened, but fun learning about what their civil war entailed, because I remember learning about it back in college. But yeah, their civil war, the defeat of the Tamil Tigers who had fought for their independence for the Tamil minority. And I remember hearing about the Tamil Tigers and the civil war that they had. Mm-hmm. So, but I did not realize it ended in 2009. That seems really recent.
That is very recent. How long did that go on for, did you say?
26 years.
26 years? Okay.
But it's a long time.
That is a long time. Civil war for 26 years?
Yep.
Jesus.
Which would make sense because our friend Schwab... I remember back in college, he went to Sri Lanka on a study abroad the same year I did mine, so that would have been in 2014. So that would have still been really recent coming out of the Civil War.
Yeah.
So not good what happened in Sri Lanka. I really hope we don't have to deal with any more acts of terrorism, but I'm sure more are on the horizon because unfortunately that's just the world we live in.
That's ignorant talk right there.
I understand it as ignorant talk, but I'm just saying I would rather us not have to deal with this.
I feel like it's like we just had a lot happen in 1 week.
Yeah, I suppose last week was quite busy. Well, you're referencing the week before.
I'm going from like Sunday to Sunday.
The week before this one, we had Notre Dame.
Yeah, Sunday to Sunday. Sunday, the second Sunday being the Easter Sunday.
Okay, yeah. Well, anyhow, moving to a completely different. Actually, no. Let's do another cheers.
Ciao! Shot to the Shotcast. Why'd you have to buy that brand?
'Tis my favorite.
I like the lemon brand.
Can you feel it? Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
I can feel it.
Can you feel it, Mr. Krabs?
I can feel it. I can feel it coming.
Anyhow, nope, we're not going to start singing.
Oh,
Moving into our completely different, taking a completely different turn now. We're going to go into politics.
But still just as bad.
How is this? Brett, you're awful. No. Joe Biden announced his presidential campaign bid this week, which I think
what does that mean?
I think we all knew.
What does a presidential campaign bid mean?
Are you serious?
What's a bid?
Meaning he's entering the Democratic.
He's putting his ante in?
Yes, that's what that means. Jesus. Anyhow,
I've never heard a phrase like that.
Moving away from Brett's ignorance.
Shut up.
I think we all knew, those of us involved in the Democratic Party knew that Joe Biden was going to run, which makes sense. I mean, the dude has, many, 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 many years of political experience. He was Obama's vice president for both of his terms. They had a really good relationship. I don't know. I think he's first of all, he's got a lot of competition. He is currently up against 19 other Democratic hopefuls, which is a lot.
That is.
A lot of people. He's also 76 years old.
I think there should be a limit to how many people can run.
Yeah, right. I mean, a lot of these people are going to be ousted pretty quick.
Yeah, well, there still should be a limit.
But he's also 76, and I think I told you this. I don't know
he's
if
older than Bernie, and you hate Bernie for being old.
Is Bernie younger than 76?
I actually will look that up right now.
Yeah, because that's...
I think he is, though.
I don't think he's younger than 76. Bernie's like in his... Nuh-uh.
You're very ignorant when it comes to Bernie's age.
Well, look at how old he looks.
It doesn't matter. He's 77.
Okay, so he's older than Joe Biden.
By a year.
Okay. Well, I think I mentioned this to you plenty of times. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it while we've done the podcast, but I am refusing to vote for any old person. And I'm making that a public statement.
Oh, yeah?
And why is my reasoning for that? Because for far too long, we have dealt with old people in political office.
Mm-hmm.
And not saying that that's a bad thing. I have nothing against old people.
So are you considering Obama old?
No, I'm not actually.
Well, he was just the last president.
Okay, my cutoff is anybody over the age of 60.
Okay, well, we just had a 8-year-long president that was pretty young, Obama.
Right. And
so you just said for too long, we've had old people.
Okay, I meant old people in the scope of the entire government. So that includes the executive branch, legislative, and the Supreme Court. And again, I have nothing against old people. However, we are approaching a very pivotal point in human history where technology is really outpacing just our growth as a society. And we need people, younger progressive people in power who, one, can understand these technologies and the impact that they're going to have on everybody, and two, have an affinity to be able to work with them in their position of power. Mm-hmm. Because if we have people who don't understand something as simple as the internet, which we do in power right now in our own government, that is terrifying. Because these people are the ones responsible for making the laws and setting the scope and the direction of the country. So if you don't understand something as simple as the internet, and I always reference this Mark Zuckerberg case because that was just a testament to how screwed we are right now with old people running the government.
Yeah,
that old senator had no idea how Facebook worked is terrifying.
How do you make money if everything's run freely?
But how are you interviewing somebody over a supposed crime they committed if you don't even understand it?
Yeah, you don't even understand
that's the problem.
The product.
And that is why I'm sorry, old people. You don't have a solid understanding of these technologies, and that's fine. That is totally fine, but you shouldn't be in government right now.
Yeah, it's shifted too much. It's like evolved too much to the point where it's past your understanding.
Correct.
And we're no longer in the 70s
that's
and 80s.
That's fine. You don't have to understand it, but you shouldn't be in a position of power when you're the one responsible for making the laws and the regulations and setting the scope and direction of the country if you don't even understand what you're working with.
Yeah.
And that is why I am refusing to vote for anybody over the age of 60. So sorry, Joe Biden. I'm sure you're going to be running a great campaign, but I just can't vote for you out of principle. My own personal principle. That's me. This is my opinion.
If it comes down to Joe Biden and Donald Trump, what are you going to choose?
Well, I guess I'm going to catch 22 at that point, aren't I?
Yeah.
maybe I just won't vote.
Oh, okay. Well, now you're going to just go to hell.
I mean, I guess, okay.
You got to go for the lesser two evils.
In hindsight, if that is what happens, then clearly I think we know what I'm going to do. But if... let me just put it this way. In the Democratic primary, I'm not going to be voting for Bernie or Joe Biden.
Okay.
I'm going to be voting for the youngest candidate. Well,
what if it's between Bernie and Biden?
You're really putting me down. You're really smacking me to the ground now, aren't you?
Just saying. Let's not be like too arrogant in our ways here. Not voting just because he's a certain age.
Well, then I guess in that case, Bernie or Biden, then I guess I'm going with Biden because he's a year younger than Bernie Sanders.
Oh my God. He's better off in the polls than Bernie.
I'm just saying, if these scenarios line up...
He is better off in the polls than Bernie.
I'm just saying, if these scenarios line up, I will deal with them as they come. But for the scope of things, I think I'm on Pete Buttigieg's team right now.
Well, he's at below 10%, and Biden's at 30%.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to make a tough choice, folks.
Bernie's above 20%.
But, Brett, as you know, we cannot trust polling. That was proven in the last election, so I don't trust any of these polls.
Why'd they make Biden blue on the poll and then Bernie red? That's just some sketchy bullshit that they're doing there.
Anyhow,
whatever. Yeah.
I guess I'll cross this bridge when I come to it, but I'm on Pete Buttigieg's team, I think, right now, based on his platform and everything. So I hope he's the one who gets it, but he probably won't because my prediction still stands. Donald Trump's going to be president for another 4 years. Calling it right now. That's what's going to happen.
I'm glad you're calling that because you're usually wrong with who's going to be the president.
Why don't you believe me on this?
Because you were wrong about Scott Walker for our governor. You were wrong about him being elected last year or 2 years ago.
With Scott Walker, there was literally a 1% difference between him and Tony Evers. So you cannot
still wrong.
You cannot fault me for that one.
Dude, is he our governor? Don't think so.
You're an a-hole.
I'm just saying. Doesn't matter how close you are. You're still wrong.
You're an absolute a-hole. You cannot do that to me because it was within a 1% difference of who could have won it.
Why don't you accept the fact that you suck at guessing who's going to be next?
Fine. I was wrong, but I still think Donald Trump's going to win. I do. I wholeheartedly think Donald Trump is going to win for another 4 years.
I don't think he's going to be president for 4 years.
Well, after this whole Russia thing came out that he had no hand in it and everything, I mean, that just gave him and his supporters and his base that much more of a boost. So I am calling it now. I mean, I don't know that.
You don't know that. You're just saying.
Of course
that.
I know that because that's how this works.
Nah, you're just guessing. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay, Brett. Then
we'll see. We'll see next November.
Instead of arguing with me, why don't you fill everybody in on what you think is going to happen and who you want to vote for right now?
I think it's going to be between Biden and Bernie. I think Biden's going to win just by a little tiny bit, and I think Biden's going to come out in front and beat Donald Trump.
You know what? We should bet on this right here, right now.
But either way, it could be Bernie or Biden.
Oh, no. We should bet on this.
Nah.
Oh, because you're afraid, are you?
Yeah, let's first bet on the primary. Who do you think is going to come out in front in the primary?
The Democratic primary?
I say Biden, yes. We all know Donald Trump's going to come out in front of the Republican one.
I don't want to say any of the lower candidates because I know how politics in this country works. I know I'm going to be wrong no matter what I say.
You know the lower ones are not going to get picked at all. So you got either between Bernie or Biden right now.
Let's just hold off on this. I'm retracting my bet.
Okay.
Sometimes, Brett, I want to throw you into a well and never hear from you again.
Please do.
Wow, that was a lively discussion we had on this one. Anyhow, yes, Joe Biden putting in his bid for presidential campaign. Whoop-de-doo, Basil. Guess we'll see and watch what happens.
Whoop-de-doo, Basil.
Yes. I really get riled up over politics. It's funny because I don't know
why you care so much.
I mean, I don't know why I care so much.
It doesn't affect your life at all.
Yes, it does. These people are the ones.
They don't actually run the country.
Oh, God, Brett.
The Illuminati does.
Okay, then you and my grandma should go get some.
You actually think the president and all those Congress people run the country? Yeah, bull. There's higher ups. There's puppeteers.
Okay,
pulling the strings.
Mr. Conspiracy Theorist.
Yeah, okay. Just saying.
Stop watching your YouTube videos. You're like this coworker I had who would sit at work.
Oh yeah, Mr. Chemtrails.
Okay,
and all that.
Those are
Get
real.
out of here.
Those are real. You cannot deny.
Oh, and Bush did 9/11 and all that.
So my chemtrails aren't real, but your Illuminati pseudo world, one world government's real.
No, I don't think the Illuminati runs the world, but I think that there's higher ups controlling their decisions.
Higher ups. Okay.
Lobbyists.
Who are these higher
lobbyists
ups?
putting money in the back pockets of all of our congressmen?
Well, yes, that's known. That's not a conspiracy. Yeah, it's called corporations.
So they run the country.
Well, yes, we've known this for
we've
known this for a long time.
Just prove me right.
Brett, isn't your goal, whenever you hang out with me, to make me feel like an idiot?
Yeah. Okay, what's our next
time? Oh, you're fired.
No, not the 65th time I've been fired.
Fine, I'll... Shots to the Shotcast. I despise you. Yeah, it's still coming down.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
No.
We gotta get going.
It's 4. No, we don't. We got
45 minutes.
Oh boy.
Then we got a 20-minute drive there.
Brett, the movie theater is like 5 minutes from my house.
I gotta take a crap because I'm not taking a crap during the movie.
Thanks for sharing with everybody.
And I gotta take a pee. I'm not taking a pee during the movie.
Okay. Well, guess we'll just jump into Kim Jong Un meeting Vladimir Putin this week. My opinion, whole PR stunt. Actually.
Okay, why?
Why?
Well, first of all, what happened, and why is that a PR stunt?
Well, because the talks between Kim Jong Un and Donald Trump didn't go well a couple months ago, so he really needs money. The country is not doing well economically, so he's doing anything he can to bolster the U.S. to releasing sanctions in any way, shape, or form. So he's going to Russia now to be like, oh, we can cooperate with other people, even though the U.S. and Russia clearly aren't on the greatest terms. But that's what I think is happening. And I don't really think that the North Koreans have met with anybody from Russia maybe since I think it was in the early 2000s. Kim Jong-il met with the Russian president prior to Putin. But yes, Kim Jong-un met with Vladimir Putin for the first time, and it took place in the Russian port city of Vladivostok.
Vladivostok.
You cannot say it not in the
Vladivostok.
And actually, I forgot about this, but the former Soviet Union was actually a major ally of North Korea during the Cold War. And actually, the Soviet Union could be, in many different ways, responsible for the extreme amount of communism and totalitarianism that currently exists in North Korea.
Okay.
Because the Soviet Union really helped North Korea economically. They had a lot of cultural exchange, and the Soviet Union gave them a ton of aid. So really, we can blame the Russians for North Korea. I'll take that back. I'm kidding.
What are you doing?
I'm kidding. But truly, the Soviet Union did help North Korea substantially. They also provided North Korea with its nuclear know-how during the Cold War.
Do you think it's going to start anything?
No.
Why do we care?
Why do we care? Because this is a PR stunt.
Well, why do we care about PR stunts? That's the reason for PR stunts. So we care.
I just think it's interesting that all of a sudden Kim Jong-un is starting to meet with all these different people and try and make it like, oh, we don't want to, destroy the world anymore and the U.S. is evil and all this other stuff, because I think they are doing so bad economically that it's starting to impact him.
Impact who?
Kim Jong-un.
Oh, yes.
I think it's starting to impact his life in some way. So this is why he's doing all this.
Okay.
Not to mention they recently tested a new weapon or short-range weapon or something to try and get people's attention again.
Nobody really cares about them.
Well, that's right, but he's trying to make people care because they're literally descending into madness economically.
Okay.
So, and this Russian meeting is significant because there are currently more than 8,000 North Korean laborers working in Russia, sending their earnings back home. And all these people, even though they're out of North Korea, are required to go back to North Korea.
I'll be honest with you, I don't really care about this story. I'm trying to think of something to talk about, and I just can't because... Okay, big frickin' whoop-de-doo. Kim Jong Un Met with Vladimir Putin.
Okay.
Talked a little bit. We should care.
Other than the Sri Lankan thing and other than Biden and all this stuff, this week was really kind of,
it's okay.
There wasn't much going on. So I'm trying to put our spin on it. Got it?
Well,
we haven't gone off on
spin or spit?
Spin.
Okay.
We haven't gone off on too many tangents, per se. So
it's okay.
I'm trying to make it lively.
I was trying to think of things to talk about on this story. I couldn't think of anything.
I will pose a question to you then. Maybe this will pique your brains.
Okay, yes.
Do you actually ever think North Korea will completely denuclearize?
No, of course not.
Why?
Never. Because why would they? They want to have power? That means that equals no power. They will lie and say they did, but they will have at least one bet in their back pocket.
Even if you think that all of the sanctions on them are removed, in order for the sanctions to be removed, they have to completely destroy their nuclear arsenal. You don't think they would do it?
Maybe. I don't think they'll ever will. I think there's always going to be at least 3 or 5 missiles in their back pocket waiting to go. Whoosha! Fooled you. We actually lied, and we have had missiles this whole time. Actually, I don't even think they have missiles because they can't even get some off the ground.
No, they've tested ICBMs now.
Yeah, but where are they? I don't see Chicago blown up yet.
I swear to God, Brett. Sometimes you and the foreign policy stuff, you just don't.
No, I'm serious about foreign policies. There's just something about North Korea that makes me laugh.
What?
It's just
You think they're a joke.
They are a joke.
You think they're an absolute joke.
Yeah. It's like that really shitty kid in high school that thought they were great, but they actually were just absolute ass. And nobody liked them. But they thought they were just, I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're trying to spin something that just
I'm trying to make an
analogy
that's not working.
Well, would you like to end this story and move into our next thing here so we can move this along so you can go to the bathroom so we can go see the Avengers, I guess?
I'm so excited to see this movie. It's all I have on my mind right now.
Because
I can't wait till we finish this story so we can talk about theories.
Oh, you actually want to talk about theories?
Yes.
Okay. Well, here.
Microsoft hits a $1 trillion valuation. Good story. What are your endgame theories?
I can't. You mother of...
Shots to Shotcast.
I don't want to do this with you anymore. You give me stress on the heart. But yes, as to Brett's point that he rudely interrupted with.
Oh, did I?
Microsoft hit a $1 trillion valuation this past week, which is significant because they are now the third tech company to do so. Apple was first, then Amazon, and now Microsoft. They reported a really good fourth quarter, and Microsoft has been doing insanely well over the past couple of years because of how much money they've invested into their cloud computing, which, I mean, I'll be honest, their cloud computing, for those of you who don't know, is called Azure, and I like it. I think it's great. It's expensive.
What do you like more, Azure, or do you like AWS better?
Well, the difference between the two is AWS, and again, for those who do not know, AWS is Amazon's cloud service, so Amazon Web Services. I personally think Azure is better because they have a lot more tools baked in, and their support is a lot better. You don't really have to build too much on your own, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. And then Google seems very childish and hand-holdy.
Yes, whereas AWS is like, it's good, but you literally have to build everything yourself in terms of infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the difference, I think. And I think that's why more and more people are going to Azure, because, especially in the business sense, because it doesn't take as much heavy lifting to get on it.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, Microsoft stuff just works better in the business sense. They truly are a business tech company. They have consumer products and all this stuff, but at the end of the day, Microsoft is a business enterprise technology company, and that's where they make their money.
Yep.
And part of the reason they're doing so well is because a lot of businesses are choosing Azure over AWS now, as for good reason. Do you actually want to know a really interesting thing I read earlier this week?
What?
Apple spends $30 million a month on AWS.
Really?
Yes.
That is a lot.
You know iCloud?
Yep.
AWS.
Wow.
They have iCloud hosted in AWS.
I didn't know that.
I don't think a lot of people knew that because it's
well, I knew Apple and them are partnering.
But you know what? It kind of makes sense because it's like, do you want to take the time and effort and stuff to build your own stuff, or do you just want it to work really well right now?
Just want it to work really well.
And they decided we want it to work really well right now. I'm not saying that. I don't. The article didn't say that Apple hosted all their stuff in Amazon Web Services, but clearly, if they're spending $30 million a month, that's they're hosting a sizable chunk of their business.
Yeah.
In AWS. So I read they're trying to get away from that, but yeah. So a majority of Microsoft's revenue is coming from Azure. Their Surface sales are about 5% of their total income. Xbox is about 9%. And they actually make a lot of money from Office 365.
Oh, of course.
Which, I'll be honest, Office 365 and the way they did that is one of the most genius things that I think they've ever done as a company. Instead of having the standalone software, remember you have to buy the standalone software for Office? Now you just pay a monthly subscription. And
just
you
like
add
Adobe and all that.
You add all these things on top of it, and you just pay for it monthly. So they make more money in the long run.
As on a consumer side, I hate it. But as a business standpoint, that's pretty good.
The thing is, on a consumer side, I like it because you constantly get all the updates. Everything, you don't have to worry about anything being outdated because it's all there.
Yeah.
And especially for a business, when you're running everything in Office, it just makes sense to have everything up to date and all of that stuff. So frankly, I'm not shocked that they hit a $1 trillion market valuation. Now, are they still there? No. Most of these companies have only been there for a couple of hours before their stock goes back down. But this just draws back to the points I continuously make about technology, that the wealthiest companies on the planet are all technology companies, and it's going to continue to be that way because they have all the data.
They have all the data, and it is our next evolutionary process.
Yes, it is. Much like the steel and oil companies back in the day, this is the new steel and oil, except...
What do you think the next phase would be? So we're in the tech phase. We just came from the industrial phase. What's after the tech phase?
Transcendence.
Ay, Dios mío.
I'm actually serious when I say that.
Transcendence. The Turing test prevails, and we all succumb to the machines.
No, Brett.
What?
We become one
with the machines. Our brains get really big, and our foreheads get bigger, and we get black eyes and turn into aliens, and go back in time, and then we help out the Aztecs.
Actually just gave me a brand new talk idea as we were sitting here talking about this.
What?
I think I want to give a talk on transcendence.
Cool. Can you get your hand off my back? We don't, no hand sendence here.
Brett, how many times have we been talking and you're just like, you know what?
Yeah, but you like it.
Oh, I do. Yes.
Yeah.
It's a sign of brotherly love.
You're freaking God. Oh, some shit you say.
It's a sign of brotherly love.
You all should see Brett on wine because then the truth comes out about everything.
Then I forget it.
So anyhow, yes, that's Microsoft. So, well, Brett, in the spirit of time, we can either end it here or we could each individually do our theories are
let's
for
do one
Endgame.
quick theory. You go first.
Well, I think as it began with Tony Stark, it will end with Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking too.
Timeline aside, I don't think the timeline matters. The first Marvel MCU movie that came out was Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it will end with Iron Man. I think Tony Stark is going to die.
Yeah.
And I think it is going to be a sad death, but I think it's going to be like it's a death that needs to happen in order for the rest of the universe to continue.
Yeah.
It's going to be a positive death.
Yeah, he won't die in vain.
But I think we're going to have a very unexpected death as well.
Like another guy.
Maybe a series of people.
Maybe Captain America or something.
I would not be shocked if Captain America dies.
I think he's going to go back in time and be with his love.
Well, let's also consider this. Robert Downey Jr. did not re-sign his contract. Chris Evans did not re-sign his contract. Chris Hemsworth did not re-sign his contract. So we have to take into account what they're going to do here.
Yeah.
But
this is the end of the first generation.
I think, ultimately, it's going to end with Tony Stark in some way, shape, or form. And I'm excited to see how they do this, actually. Or I could be totally wrong, and they're going to throw me for a complete 180.
Yeah.
What is your theory?
Pretty much the same thing. We're very aligned on our theories right now. That's exactly what I think is going to happen. I thought Iron Man's got to go. I think Captain America's going to go back in time with his love. And then Thor will probably just go and create another Asgard or something. We won't see them again. And then we'll continue with the next generation.
Actually, that would make a lot of sense for Thor, that he's going to go and try and rebuild Asgard in some capacity, and we just won't.
He'll come in for cameos and stuff in future movies.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because if you think about a majority of his people got wiped out, and Asgard is no more.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, Asgard are his people.
Well, the actual physical place is destroyed.
Yes.
That's what I meant.
Okay.
So, it'll be really interesting to see. Well, we know who's going to come back because we got a Spider-Man movie in July. And there's
a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming out.
Yes, there's a Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And I've heard that they're talking about a Black Widow movie.
Yeah.
And there's
a Black Panther.
There's also Black Panther 2 and a Doctor Strange 2.
Yep.
All in the works. So we know that a handful of these people are going to stick around. But I think we're going to see a lot of passing of the original Avengers.
I was also thinking these people could stay dead. Just because they have another movie coming out doesn't mean that they're not dead anymore. The next movie could be before the snap. They could just fit it in there.
But would that make sense? Everything I've heard says that they end it on a really
that wouldn't really make sense.
They end it on a note that leaves you hopeful for what's to come. I think Brett and I are gonna have many moments where our jaws drop in this. I'm just gonna be quite honest.
And then there's gonna be moments where I'm like, what? No.
See, Brett and I are like, in terms of anybody you'd want to go see this with, Brett and I are the perfect pair because we are there for the exact same reason: to sit down, shut up, watch the damn movie, and if anything like really just jaw dropping happens, look at each other for about 2 seconds with our jaws open, then go back to the movie.
We'll sit there in transcendence.
You just used that word totally wrong, but sure.
It works because I'm transcended.
Okay. Well, I think we're going to cut it off there for this week. It's been
what a fun episode.
It's been a pleasure spending time with you all as
Thanks
always.
for listening.
Remember, you can follow us on social media. On Instagram at @the_Shotcast, on Facebook at the Shotcast WI for Wisconsin. You can listen to all of our episodes, past and present, on theshotcast.com. Anything else that I left out of that, Brett?
Nope.
We'll be back next week with our monthly drunk cast for May 2019. May the 4th be with you.
And also with you.
How excited are you, Brett?
Excited.
How excited, say?
Excited.
Sing a song.
Excited, say. Sing a song that never ends. Sing a song that... Okay, please. We're making their ears bleed.
Say bye-bye, Brett.
Say bye-bye, Brett.
say bye-bye, Brett.
See you later, guys.